everybody, Mary Long here. We're starting our new sessions here tonight with Errol Jacobson, now known as Laurie Kennard. So anyway, Errol, take it away.
Okay. Hey everybody, how are you? I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, so we're doing a little paint-in here. I sent you all photographs that I took in France on a trip a number of years ago when Stephanie and I visited Giverny. It was part of our trip to Paris. And if you haven't been there, it's great, very inspiring. You get to go to his gardens, his house, you see his beautiful lagoons and his bridges, and it's a great little town, and you can stop off and see the Chartres Cathedral that Monet painted in the town of Chartres. So I sent you 3 different images, and everybody did a great job, and people painted a little bit of each one in different ways. So we'll just get started here and get rolling. And I just like to say, whenever I do something like this, I just like to tell you that, you know, it's not the gospel. It's just, you know, my opinion, some things that I may see that could possibly help the painting, but it's, you know, coming from my perspective, and you're welcome to take it or leave it. And, you know, hopefully I'll have some things to say that can assist you in your bettering your painting, and which we're all trying to do always. And so that's about it. So we'll start off with this one. Oh, another thing is I have the image. I don't know if you have the ability to do this. I had it all set up where I was going to have both images, the photograph, and I can switch back and forth between the painting, but we're not going to be able to do that now. So if you have another device where you can pull up the images and you can kind of look at the image or have it there on the side, that would be helpful. It's not the end of the world if you don't. Okay, so this is Nancy's painting. Oh, another thing is, I'm not going to, Mary, I'm not going to have the mouse. Or do I have the mouse? No, I don't have the mouse. Ugh, okay, well, I'm just going to have to describe what I'm seeing then, unfortunately. Okay, so Mary, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
But
So
I
I wish I had my mouse because I can't really point at things. All right. So so Nancy picked a painting. This is Nancy Mertz's painting. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Errol. Sorry, it
and
looks kind of washed out a little bit on my monitor.
You know what? Monitors do that sometimes. I've had that problem over the years. It looks good on my monitor. So I adjusted my monitor. I adjusted the color and the contrast. That might be part of the problem. But anyways, from what I'm seeing, great job, Nancy. It's you know, I mean, pretty much everything is laid out in the photograph for us as far as the perspective is concerned. And she took advantage of the 1-point perspective. Everything is leading back towards Monet's house. And I think she did a really good job. We can tell what kind of day it is. It's a nice sunny day. The shadows on the sidewalk, you know, kind of give us that indication, and the brightness of the colors in the foreground. We can see the sun is shining, and then the shadow patterns. And I like how she did the thicker, more impasto brushwork in the front of the flowers. Really nice job on the flowers. And then as she goes back into space, back by the house, you can see that the edges get softer and softer and softer and softer. And so that's really a good use of atmospheric perspective. It's something we all need to keep in mind. You know, there's really, there's not too many things, that I can really say that need to be done with this painting. There is just a couple, and it's hard to talk about without the pointer, but there is a shadow underneath the trellis. It's kind of a blue shadow, And I just feel that shadow is just a little bit strong. It's a little bit distracting to me. And then the edge of the trellis, the darkness, I would just like to see that softened. And then maybe the shadow just lightened up a little bit. That's such a great contrast. I really like the contrast of the shadows on the sidewalk, on the left side and the front. You see the shadow is like maybe a, well, look at the value, the relationship of the shadow to this color of the sidewalk. And then look at the relationship of that blue towards the color of the grass underneath the trellis. I think it's just a little bit too dark. It's kind of distracting me. Other than that, I'd like to see, and you really got to look at the photograph closely. That's a 2-story house. And it almost looks like, if you look at the painting, it might just look like a big house back there. I think if the doorway could be defined just a little bit more somehow, and maybe like put a rim light around it or something to make it look like a door, because right now I can't really tell it's a door. I think that might help a little bit. And I think other than that, that's about it. Great job, Nancy.
Thank you, Errol, for all your comments.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay, ready. I wish I had the mouse, guys. Sorry.
I'm trying to.
Oh, wait up. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong. I got 3 screens up. Okay, so let me just move. I'm looking at the big screen so I can see more. Okay, so this is the same scene, and this is Barbara's, and
Hello,
Barbara. Hi, Barbara. And Barbara chose a little bit different perspective. She chose to make it more like a, she cropped it in a little bit more from the right side. Just like when we go out in the field. Just because we have a reference doesn't mean we have to actually paint it that way. And this particular, I think this is really a nice job. Good use of color, really nice edges, great sense of light, nice job on the shadows on the sidewalk. Good job overall. Something that I think could really help with this painting. Now, if you guys look at the windows on the building, just take a look at the windows and go straight across to the tree. There's like it's a straight edge. It's called a tangent. And what happens there with that tangent is it, well, it flattens the painting, one thing. And the tree is an organic, it's a living thing. The building is man-made. So I think, Barbara, if you drop some edges from the bottom side of that tree down a little bit and kind of like break into that space, you did a good job with the door there. I can see that it's a 2-story building. And then I wish I had to show you the photograph. In the photograph, in the actual scene, in between the windows, there are some like green bushes going up sort of in between. I'd like to see like a little indication of that to break the roof line a little bit, just slightly. And then also the bushes in front of those windows, you have them going kind of straight across again, kind of like vary the edges a little bit, sort of like you did on the tree, on the top of the big tree. You got those nice varied edges. And then also on those bushes in front of the 2 windows, underneath the bushes, they go darker. So you can bring a little more dark in there too. Maybe even as dark as the underside of the tree, like make some various layers there. And I think that'll go a long way in, taking a painting that's already good, making it better. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice job. Nice job. Okay. This is Dorothy's. And love this painting. I mean, again, you guys, well, I wish you could see. I don't know if you're looking at the picture that I'm looking at, but Dorothy really cropped in on this and really focused on just the bottom 2/3 of the reference photo. So I really love the abstract quality of this, and it just has a nice feel, a feel to it. Nice color, very colorful painting, nice brushwork. So good job overall. There are a couple things you could do on this painting, I think, that could it helped quite a bit. So I'm going to try to describe some of these things. First of all, when shadows reflect from into the water, darker areas reflect lighter, lighter areas reflect into the water darker. So you have the dark. If you look at the bridge and go between the trees hanging down, when you go to the left of the bridge, it's kind of like really dark back there. And then if you drop straight down into the water, those dark, she's got some of the darks light, but some of them are just too dark, and the edges are too hard in the shadows. Now, again, I wish I could have my pointer, but if you look at the shadows of the trees in sort of the upper left quarter of the lagoon, they're nice, and I like the way she's got them really nice and destroyed and broken up. And then you get down to the shadows more in the front on the lower right of the trees, the light areas are a little bit too hard. So I say like soften up the shadows a little bit and make the darks a little bit lighter. Also, when you're painting the lily pads on top of the water, do your reflections first. And you might have done that, but this is for everybody. Do your reflections first, get that down, and then come in with your shadows. I'm speaking mostly about oil painting here, or acrylic painting. I'm not a watercolorist, so I'm not sure how it's done in watercolor. But then you can just lay the lily pads on top of the water so they look like they're floating. The other thing is, as the lily pads go, start in the front, and as they go back, they should be getting thinner. Thinner, 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 and thinner. As clouds, when you look at a horizon line and you're drawing clouds going back into the distance, they get narrower, 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 narrower as they recede. So I think they're almost, some of them are, the first three big clumps in the front are kind of like wide. They should be getting a little bit narrower. Also break up the lily pads just a little bit with some edge work, a few darks here and there. And don't be afraid to throw a little bit of red. When you get so much green, throw a little bit of red in your greens.
Yeah.
Well, another thing is on the shadows, like really nice job on that tree hanging down, but make sure that the dark areas of the big weeping willow tree, as they go into the water, the shadows match up with the values. So if you got a darker area up above, it should be a darker area down below. And other than that, great job. I love the little person on the bridge. I love the bridge. Good job. Okay, move ahead.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so yeah, I know this painting. This is the one that I did. This was a real challenge. And let's see, let me pull it up on my big screen here. Julie's painting. Very nice job, Julie. I love the way you did the hang on a second here. Again, I'm looking at the photograph and the painting at the same time, the reference photo. Really nice job on the bamboo. Those are bamboo shoots behind the tree. I mean, they're really, really delicately done and very poetic, and I just love that edge work. Yeah, really, really good. So there's a few things that I think that's a few things that can be done with this painting. Again, if you're not looking at the photograph, you'll have to take a look at it later. But on the big boat, she decided just to put one boat in. There were two boats there, which is fine. It was an artist decision. The shadows, where she has that light blue on the long side of the boat, that is in shadow, and it's really way too light. So Julie, you take a look at the reference photo and look at the value of that, and then look at the value of the rear end of the boat. The rear end of the boat is much lighter, and the value on the sides of the boat is much darker. So you have to address that. And then the shadow pattern that's being cast into the water, the reflection of the boat, is darker and more defined. So you need to get the edge work on that more definite. Also, I wish I had my mouse again. As the shadow comes down on the back of the reflection on the back of the boat, if the reflection's coming down on a right to left, it's going to reflect in the water from left to right. And that's going to really define that it's sitting in the water. So keep that in mind when you look at the reference. I think you make those corrections. And then the leaves on the tree, the large tree there, it has groupings of leaves. Those leaves have a definite different tiers of light and dark. You can pay a little more attention to that and get that be a little more accurate with that, I guess is what I'm saying. Scott used to say to me all the time, you have to know where to slow down when you're painting. I mean, yeah, it's great to paint fast and speed, and you know, we all do that when we paint plein air or even studio, but at some point we have to define things and we have to slow down and work on the edges, like the edges on those leaves on that tree. By working on those edges a little bit more, putting a little more time into it and making them a little bit more accurate with the different layers of values, it's going to like really complete, instead of looking just kind of like a blob just sitting there, kind of like define. It won't take much work at all, just to like lay the way you lay the paint on. Like look at the front of the boat there, that front tip of the boat. Now come down to the left. There's a glob of paint down there, kind of a light color. Take that same color, that same glob, and do some leaf work, you know, on top of that. And that's really going to bring that tree forward. And maybe make your edges a little bit sharper on that boat. Again, the shadow side of the boat, the front of the boat is going to be darker, and then it's got some rim light around the top edge of the boat where you get into the boat. Okay, that's it. Okay. All right, Suze. All right, nice, colorful painting. I like the energy in the painting, and looks like you had a lot of fun with this one. And I can see you like color, and so really, really nice. It's a happy painting. Again, Sue chose to crop in on this one. Let me get back to the. Yeah, she cropped in. She took a different viewpoint than some of the other people, which is great. Again, I think there's just a couple things I like to comment about this painting. I'm distracted by the tree on the right. We got that strong, dark trunk shape, which is a strong shape. It's one of the strongest shapes in the painting. And I think it's strong because it's surrounded by light. And it's pulling my eye over to the right of the painting. What I'd like to see done is you darken the lights, not as dark as the tree, but bring them down in value quite a bit with the local color of the building back there. And then that around the tree, and then to the green, knock that green back a little bit to the left of the tree, knock that whole area back, bring it down a few values. And then my eye, and plus that whole area by the tree, just kind of knock it, even if you don't see it that way, knock it back a little bit and maybe define the trellis. So you can make that whole area dark and then just knock in the trellis, so kind of lose that a little bit. Also sort of, I think maybe the edge of the bottom of the tree is just a little bit like linear. And I'd like to see a little bit more of a, just a little bit more of an organic feel. Think about organic and think about man-made, and basically you've got it, really good on the building. But the tree is looking a little bit hard, just a little bit hard edge. Let me see. Also, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Okay, go to the two windows, and then you drop down. There's light of bushes. Then you drop down, and there's a dark shadow. Then you drop down, there's light of bushes. Then you drop down, and there's darker shadow. So you've got kind of like these two strong dark areas going in the same direction. And they're kind of like, I'd like to see that like kind of broken up a little bit. and maybe drag some of the light into the dark, and just so it's not so repetitive of those two shapes. We want to watch out for repetitive areas. You could also, let's see, you could also maybe, no, I maybe define that door a little bit, just slightly, maybe the top of the door frame. I like that you put the person in there, because by putting a person in, and I do this a lot in my paintings, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, it gives you a sense of scale by putting a car, if there is, you know, if it makes sense to have a person or a car there, you know, it gives a sense of scale. So we can see kind of like what the size of that house is. It's really quite large. Yeah, that's it. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. People like this house. Karen, did you make it on? Is she there? Karen? No?
I don't think so. And
She didn't, oh, too bad.
do we,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, maybe she'll watch the, you know, the recording. So I love this painting. I think this is a successful painting. In particular, I like the edge work. I mean, it's all really nice. I like it's nice and soft. You know, it's sort of like the way we see when we actually see things. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever done this before and taken a class where someone told you, read a book, like even in your house, like look at like one object in your room, like, you know, a bookshelf or a book, or your kitchen, a refrigerator. But when you look at that one object and you're focusing on it, everything else is going to be in your peripheral vision, and everything else is going to be softer. So edges are very important. So she's got the edges like really pretty much like the eye sees, you know. Yeah, I don't have much to say about this painting. I mean, I like the painting. I particularly like the yeah, I like the way the tree meets the house. I feel that there's different layers in this painting. That we really got the garden in front, where she really did the strong light on the sidewalk, and then as she went back, she did it a little bit, you know, a little lighter, a little less definite, maybe a little more light on the sidewalk. Again, I'm looking at something on a computer, but maybe a little more yellow, orange on the sidewalk going back towards the house a little bit, to door, you know. I'd like to see a little person back there if you want to stick someone in there. I think it might not be a bad idea. But I think the relationships are really, really good. You know, I've been thinking a lot about my own painting, about relationships. And when I'm out there painting, yeah, I can get it in pretty quick. But then at some point you have to decide, I mean, in simple forms, what's the lightest light? What's the darkest dark? You know, we all have heard that before. But once you define something, like for instance, she defined the tree, okay? She defined that color. Okay, then she moves over to the building. How does that value compare to the value of the tree? And then she jumped up to the front by the sidewalk where you're first walking in. How does that value and temperature relate to the value of the tree? So we're always comparing. We're constantly moving around the painting and comparing, and, you know, taking mental notes and making adjustments and corrections and so forth and so on. You know, another thing, you guys, you know, when we look at photographs, and I forget this a lot of times myself, you know, photographs are photographs. They're not accurate. You know, I mean, the darks are going to be darker, the lights are going to be lighter, and we got to kind of use. That's why plein air painting is so important. We have to use our knowledge that we gain out in the field, and I've said that before. I do see one thing I'd like that's kind of like bothering me a little bit in this painting. The tree. There's that red back there. I know there's a building back there. I think I'd like to see that maybe just knocked down just a little bit. I can't even tell what that is. I think there's some windows in there. Maybe to find a couple windows, because they're on the same level as that door. And when I'm looking at the photograph, so maybe just give a little bit of, and there's also like a line coming across of anyways, look at the photograph and maybe do a little work back there on that building. Because right now it's kind of like, I think it's sticking out a little bit. Okay, that's it on that one. Okay, moving ahead. Okay, we got the bolts again. Let me get my bolts up. Where's my bolts? Okay, there's my bolts. So, Joanna, nice job. You know, this is you know, we got a man-made object, we got organic objects. So we've got, you know, we've got machine-made, and we've got, you know, nature. And I think she did a pretty good job on the water. I really like the abstract quality on the lower left-hand side, and the water, the photograph, when you look at it, it's kind of like muddy brown water. I think they're lagoons. There's no actual flow there. So she really accurately represented that. So I think good job. On this painting, same problem as I pointed out before. Oh, you there?
Sorry, it's me.
All right, that's all right. If you guys are looking at the photograph, and when you look at the photograph, the side of the bolt, the long side of the bolt, is much darker, and she has some of the lightest. And what's tricky about this photograph, when you look at it, and I had the same problem. I wanted to paint that blue more intense than it actually was. So it's got to be like knocked down. If you squint at the photograph, that's a good thing to do, is to squint down, and that whole side is darker, and the reflection is darker. So and the reflection has got like a little bit of a harder edge to it. Now, she did a good job on the back reflection. If you look at the reflection, you see how the back side on the right side of the boat comes down at an angle, then the reflection goes out. That's what I was talking about. The angle in is the opposite angle out on the reflection. So that's good. Look at the back bolt, the second bolt. Where the front bolt, the far side of the front bolt, there's an edge that needs to be established, because right now it's just kind of smushed into that other bolt. And she needs to just make that, just define that a little bit more. So put a little bit more time into that, and observation, because this is about the bolts, this photograph, and you want to get those bolts pretty accurate. Good job on the background. I think this is my own opinion. You know, well, I'm going to take it back. Yeah, you know, I think that's it. That's good. All right, we're good. Nice job. All right, moving ahead. Okay, Deborah. Let me get Deborah's painting up here.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, Deborah. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, so Deborah, I love this. I mean, really, you know, you did a very cool thing. I mean, you had a green painting and you made the bridge red. You know, the bridge is blue, but I think you made a good choice, because, you know, red is the complement of green, and so it really worked well with the you know, with the composition. So I think really good, and really nice job. I really particularly like the reflections on the lower left part, like the lower left quarter of the image. The way that it really looks like those lily pads are floating on the water. I'd like to see that same work extend across the painting and bring some of that same beautiful, you know, kind of abstract, airy quality of the lily pads straight across. Now, that being said, a couple things I think can help this painting. So there's value and there's color. You know, color has value. You know, cad yellow light is a color, but it's a lighter value than burnt umber, for instance. Okay, or yellow ochre. Let's put it that way. So we're looking at those willow trees hanging down on the upper left-hand corner. And we know that that's a lighter value, but they do have a local color. And I think that it would help if we added that local color into the painting. And so it's confusing because when I'm looking at this, I might think that that's sky back there. And it's not really reading to me, even though I'm looking at the photograph so I can see where they are trees. But to someone just looking at the painting and not being familiar with the scene, it would help. So I would say if you go back and work on this painting some more, add some, start with some darker greens, lighter, more muted greens, and cover the whole thing with green, and then start bringing in some lighter greens and lighter and lighter and build them up, and then because you have the green and the reflections in the water a little bit. And then you're going to have those greens come into the reflections on the lower left, but done with that same edge work that you had. One other thing in this painting is I got a sense a little bit, be a little more careful on the shape of the bridge. It looks like it's turning from left to right and going downhill. So you want to get like a little bit more of an arc, to it, and maybe thinner rail. I see you put some people back there. That's great. You can pop them a little bit more. You can even put some people coming to the bridge on the right side. Nice brushwork to where the water, where the bushes meet the trees in the back. And then maybe just kill a little bit of that green up above the bridge. That's going to be determined how you handle the green on the left-hand side. And one more thing is create a little bit of a shoreline, a little bit of a darker edge where the water meets the shore meets the lagoon, and that's so downhill. Again, it's looking like it's going downhill. You'll look at the photograph a little bit, you'll see what I mean. That's it. Good job.
Thank you very much, Errol.
Sure. All right, Maureen. All right, Maureen, this is just beautiful. I mean, what can you say about this painting? It's just a beautiful painting. And, again, you did your own interpretation of this, which I think worked quite well. You really kind of like, made this kind of like about that beautiful blue back there. And it's really quite lovely and striking. And, my eyes going right back to that bridge. I mean, the focal point, I think I think the reflections are good. I think, a lot of good things about this painting. A couple things that I think could help the painting. They're very minor little things. That big area of water lilies on the left-hand side, I'd like to see that broken up, maybe into like 3 distinct shapes. Again, I wish I had my mouth. You can break it out into a bigger, smaller, and then smaller. So I think if you broke that up a little bit and had the reflections come down through it, that'll help quite a bit. Let me see. I don't know what. Oh, I see what you did there. You have that kind of like big purple on the upper right-hand side.
Yeah.
I'd sort of like to see that be maybe, I see what you're looking at in the photograph. There's some red shining there, but I would sort of like to see that eliminated, my own personal taste. And then the other thing is the reflections of the sky should be the reflections in the water. Again, the lighter sky is going to reflect darker. So I think the reflections, I just like to see the sky match the reflections to be in the same family. Because up in the right-hand side, you got some it looks like ultramarine blue or something, or cobalt blue, and in the sky. And I think it would help if you kind of just make that more of a sky color that had those reflections come straight down, because it is a mirror image of the sky. And the same thing right in the front, in the center, there's a reflection, which I assume is the sky, but it might be a lily pad too. Probably is a lily pad.
It's a reflection of the sky, yeah.
That's the sky? Yeah,
Yeah.
the sky kind of I don't know, it kind of looks, I just think a little bit more linear, or maybe
Yeah.
just break up the shape just a little bit, I think the best reflections of the sky you have are from that yellow kind of glob by the bridge, which I'm not sure what that is. I kind of like it though. But if you come straight down to the front of the painting, that all looks really good to me. The reflections, they kind of match the sky up above it. But maybe you can bring a little bit of that, break up some of that area where that white spot is in the center of the painting, down in the center, that sky, maybe even bring some of that straight up into the lily pads. And
All right.
and then one more thing, on the bridge, is that someone sitting on someone's shoulders up there?
I know, I needed to smooth out, that's a tree and I should have smoothed that out.
Oh, okay. So you know what? You actually don't even need it there, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, you can just get rid of it if you want, because or you can make it, I see it now in the reflect. Oh, I see it now. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, you could keep it there, but maybe I see. Yeah, you just got to make it a little thinner, and maybe, yeah, a little thinner and darker on the sides to define it. Then maybe you'll see a little bit of that tree trunk as it goes up into the leaves. But yeah, that's it. Good job.
okay, thanks. Hey, Errol, I was
Oh.
so thrilled to hear that you had gone to Giverny. I was so
Yeah.
happy. Yes, and one thing that I discovered, and it's so wonderful that this is going on during the Monet show.
Yeah.
Monet put a lot of time into it. So I was trying to do the technique of his.
I know.
He put a
I know.
lot of time into his.
Yeah. Hey, that reminds me. Thanks. So I'm scheduled again to do this in February. I know Nancy's doing it the next 2 times up, and I'm just going to tell you, in February we're going to go to Cuba. I was in Cuba for my 70th birthday, and Lori and Mary know because they were there with me, and I've got some great photographs of Cuban street scenes. So I wanted to do something in nature because I know we have a lot of nature painters. But next time we're going to be gritty Cuba. All right, moving
Thanks so
ahead.
much.
Okay, Kuhn.
Yes.
All right, you love this painting, Kuhn. Great job, very dramatic.
Thank you.
And when I looked at it, I just, love the brushwork, the looseness, the spontaneity of it. Yeah, it's just a sweet little piece. And this is a good example of doing the shadows first. You can see that he had all the shadows in there. Then he just came across with some globs of paint for the lily pads. It doesn't take much to, to float them on top. And so I think it's really good. The only thing I would say about this painting, it's really a great little painting. Again, dark will reflect lighter into the water, light reflects darker into the water. If you look at the reflections, if you go to the left side of the bridge and you look straight down to the front of the painting, come straight down, that value of the darks in the water and the value of the green reflections, that's a beautiful relationship, just great. Now, if you start moving over to the right and come down from the edge of the right side of the bridge straight down, there's like a really black hole, sort of, almost. And I'm being picky here, but very easy fix just by bringing some of that, grayish green reflections into that. Also, that won't create a tangent. What you have from the right side of the bridge straight down into the reflections creates a line. So I'd like to see that. And also the way you have that behind the bridge, I just noticed this. You've got like this air back there in the shadows. You really feel like there's air back there. Now you come back to the right. I don't know if you're using a lot of black or not, which is fine. I use a lot of black myself to mix my greens, but you can get very opaque. And so just like to the right of the bridge, back in the woods back there, I would say maybe gray that out a little bit, and that I think that'll be, just, help a little bit, that area. Because we got to pay attention to all the edges and the corners of our paintings. Sometimes I know I'm guilty of developing the painting, you know, the focal point and the center of interest and a lot of it, but I forget about the edges. And the edges can make or break a painting. Okay, good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're back to the boats. Let's see. Back to the boats. Okay, this is Deborah's. And did you make it on, Deborah? Deborah make it? I know she was having trouble getting
Yes.
on. Oh, you're
Yes,
here.
I'm
Good.
here.
Glad you made it. Okay,
Thank you.
so this is watercolor. And again, you guys, I'm not a watercolorist. I've never even done a watercolor. So I admire you. I know it's not an easy medium, but you can get some great effects. And I really love the way you did again, all that bamboo back there. You just feel like you could walk straight back into that scene. And you're very simple, abstract, but, with definition. I think good job. So Deborah made a decision when you look at the picture, the tree ran right into the front of the boat. And probably was a good decision you made, because I did it with the tree running right into the front of the boat, and it was a nightmare. And because it looked like the tree was growing right out of the boat. And so I think that's good that you did that. And also kind of gives you a lead in there, kind of like this is like almost like you're coming out of those boats and walking back into the woods. That's a nice feel there. So I think, again, I think the dark side, same thing I talked about a few of the other paintings of the boats. That front side of the boat can be, when you look at the picture, the reference, take a look at it, and you'll see that it's darker. It's a darker value, and maybe slightly. I think the shadow color is okay, but you got some of that really light color right at the base of the boat, almost some of the lightest light in the painting. And I think if you tone that down a little bit, it's going to go a long way. And then you guys, unless you're looking at the photograph, you're not going to see this, but there's a definite shape to that reflection of the boat. Deborah, if you look at the front of the boat and you look at the picture, you'll see that the shadow is a hard edge coming off that shape off the front of that boat and coming straight across. It doesn't you've got the shadow kind of convex. If anything, it's more concave, I just noticed. And same thing with the back of the reflection, where it comes down on the right side of the rear of the boat. When it reflects in the water, it comes from the boat out to the right. So it's going to go in the opposite direction. Maybe work on that a little bit. And maybe also on the boat, maybe put a little bit more, again, the emphasis, I think with the emphasis, the boat's very important here. So I think a little bit more time on the boat. Maybe you're not done with this, I don't know. But on the front of the boat, you've got right in the front of the boat, there's that, how do I describe this? I'm not a boulder. Well, there's a dark part where you put your feet under, and there's kind of like a deck there. There's a deck there. Well, on the right side of that deck, there's a darkness that creates an edge. So I think you need that darkness there. And also the inside of the boat might be just a little bit darker. So there is some depth. I mean, you're close. You're very close. That back boat is done very nicely. Love that back boat. Yeah, especially that back blue. I mean, that's beautiful the way that's really, really good. But just that edge, I think when you just do a little more work on the boat, I think that's what I'm trying to say. And let me see. I think that is, yeah. Yeah, I think that's, oh, yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, there's a few other things that, I mean, it seems to me the shadow at the base of the tree in the photograph is much darker because that's getting the same light as the boat. So you might, but I understand why you made it light because you have dark behind the tree, so the tree wouldn't pop. So I mean, unless someone's looking at the photograph, they're not going to care, or they're not going to know. But good job.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Abhai, are you here? She wanted me to wait till 8 o'clock.
I am.
Okay, you made it. Good.
You.
Okay, great. Yeah. I didn't wait on purpose. You just showed up in the queue right here. I won't take credit. Maybe I would have remembered though. So beautiful little painting, you know. I mean, is this a little blurry, the photograph?
It is. I just didn't get time to do it over.
Okay, I'd like to see a sharper photograph of this. But being blurry, you know, so keep in mind that it is blurry. I think this is a successful painting. Got a nice lyrical. I like the tree, the willow tree. Really nice job on the lily pads. I like how she put some darkness. I meant to say this to some of you other folks, that on the lily pads, maybe create some dark edges. There's some darks in there, and separating just a few. You don't have to separate them all. Now, this is a really good example of something. Now look at the lily pad, like on the lower left, for instance, okay, that big group of pads. All right, so you got that pad, and she did like a little bit of that dark to separate some of those leaves or pads. Then look at the lily pads, keep going straight up from that. There's a long group of pads, and then there's a group of pads by the shore. By the shore, there's really just a few globs of paint, no dark. So, because you explained something in the front, my eye and my brain automatically knows that it's explained in the back. It's the same thing when we do people walking down the street. If we have a group of people walking down the street on a sidewalk, we might have like 4 or 5 people in the front, kind of defined. As they go back, you don't really need anything hardly. That people, the brain figures out that they're people. Same thing with cars. Cars, you kind of like define the front one, but as they go down the street, they become just like, you can almost put anything there, just a couple indications, just an impression, you know. And so I wanted to point that out. That's a really good thing to know. Good job. She floated the lily pads on the reflections. On this one, oh, let me where's my photograph? The only thing that I would say on this one that I think could help a little bit, so that willow tree hanging down, I mean, I just think the edges are beautiful. I like this, I think they're kind of like even. So I like to see some of those maybe break into the plane below it a little bit, and maybe a few darks on those bushes, all that shrubbery going down to the water line. Just break it up a little bit with a few more darks. And then on the right side, but look at the bridge. And then on the right side, maybe just a little bit of more indication of the shoreline over there. I know it's in shadow, but if you take some of that shadow, you have good job on the shadow branches coming down from that tree. Bring some closer to the water line, maybe a little bit of edge work there, and that'll create more of an edge over there. And then also, one last thing, this is about edges, about corners. Look at your upper right-hand corner. Your upper right-hand corner, I know you got sky up there. Okay. I'd like to see that all filled in with trees. First of all, it'll make sense of the reflections down below because you got sky above that's blue, and then you've got reflections that are dark because the trees aren't that tall there. So it doesn't really make sense. But that being said, by filling it in with dark, it's taking my eye off the edge of the painting. I want to go over there, and I don't want to go over there. You might want to put a lily pad, by the way, in that shadow area. Maybe put some, just a little thin strip of lily pads, but keep it in shadow. So that's it. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. What do we got? Robin. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, hi, Robin. I love this painting, Robin. I mean, this, um, get some water here.
You want me to get one?
I I love the bridge and the trees back there and the sky. It reminds me a lot of, it's very tonalist. It's a tonalist palette. Um, Great. Reminds me a lot of Brian Sindler, actually. His color. I mean, I know you know Brian. You know his work. If you like it, if you like that kind of effect, study his work because he's really good at that. I really like the relation. I mean, I just love the way you did that green on the. So you got the bridge, and you got to the right above it, you got that gray mass of trees that's back there, and above that, you got that green, those green branches. I mean, it's really quite lovely. Now, what you did, which is fine, is you interpreted the scene, which we have as artists do, which there's nobody says you have to do it exactly by any means. And so what you did, I think, is great. So working with what you've done, I'd like to see, I think with the lily pads, I think we could break up, okay, we go to the bridge. I have to give the description here. The middle of the painting, go to the middle right side of the painting as you're looking at it. And you go over and there's like that mass of light on the water. And I've got to assume that those are the lily pads. Well, I would break some of that shape up, in descending order into like, you know, clumps of lily pads. And same thing when you go to the left, go to the bridge, and then work your way over to the left on the water, and there's that light area of the water. I gotta think that's, I think that's lily pads. Maybe break that up a little bit. So maybe just break up some of those large areas. Now, again, you don't have to do anything. You can just leave this painting as is, and someone who's going to look at this and not see the reference is going to love this painting. No doubt about it. If you want it to look a little bit more like lily pads, you can do a little bit of like in the front, as I said, maybe define a few, you know, and then and then one other thing that's a little confusing about the painting is, to me, this painting looks like it's dusk. So it's like the end of the day,
yeah.
which is just beautiful. But I'm looking at the light on the willow tree, which is bright. So I think that if you want to keep the painting as is, you know, and not do too much, maybe just possibly, I don't know, maybe tone it down just slightly. You know, I understand why you did it, because this sets the background back, which it's doing its job, but maybe cool it off a little bit, I guess is what I'm saying, just slightly. But great job, beautiful little painting.
Oh, thank you, Errol. I was a little confused with the palette, but I was trying something a little different, so.
Well, you know,
yeah.
and that's what we do as artists, you know.
Mhm.
You know, kudos to you, you know, that, you know, sometimes, I mean, this goes for me for sure. I can get locked into like what's in front of me, you know, and what the reference is. And as artists, you know, there's all kinds of artists, you know. We can be photorealistic at one extreme, and we can be abstract on the other extreme, and there's everything in the middle. And you know, everybody has different taste and likes different things, and you know, just about everything goes. So so the palette, I mean, I would say stay confused.
That'll be easy.
I say stay confused. I say I you know, it's gonna really nice. You know, if anything, you could possibly put a little, and you even got people up on the bridge, a little harder edge on the bridge on the top of it, which would set it in front of those trees. and actually have that edge. If you're going to make it up, not make it up, but interpret it, kind of use your own, and have that bridge, the top of the bridge, maybe
Mhm.
going straight across, a
Mm.
little bit, like a little lighter edge, and maybe a little bit to the left. But anyways, great. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
moving on. Okay, so this is Howard, and Howard sent me 4. Mary, if you keep flipping, I'll tell you the one there are 4. There's a value sketch. There's this sketch. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen. Yeah, can you go back, Mary? Yes, that one. We're going to talk about that one. No, is that the right one? That's the wrong one. Let me see.
Pick any one you want.
Yeah, I just wanted to take, yes, let's talk that one, Mary. Yeah. They're all interesting, but I want to talk just about one. I think this is the most complete. And so really nice job on the, what medium is this, Howard?
Watercolor.
Oh, watercolor, okay. So again, I'm not a watercolorist, but there are some things that, I could talk about. Great job on the bamboo and, and on the reeds, the background. I want to get the photograph up. Yeah, it's a really nice loose application of paint and a lot of energy, and I like all that. The thing that would help this painting is, and actually, the front bolt is pretty good, drawing wise. The front, when you go back and look at it, check it out. The front, the side closest to us. Again, almost everybody made that too light. When you go back, look at the reference, you're going to want to get that darker and bluer and purpler. And then you're going to want the reflection to be in relationship to that. Once you get the reflection and the darkness of the bolt, the water, you'll be able to judge the water. So you got to kind of like get something down first that's accurate. So once you do that, the back side of the bolt might be the right value, but you won't know until you get some darker tones in there. So just bring check your drawing out. And when you check your drawing out, again, I wish I had my mouth. The side of the boat is too low. The wall of the boat on the side closest to us.
The vertical dimension.
You'll see that you bring that up a little. So it's a little bit of a drawing issue. Also, the boat on the back side is tipped down too much at an angle. So check your angles of your lines when you go back. This is more of a drawing problem, which is a separate issue. And then once you get all that down, again, unless you guys are looking at the photograph, the tree is too thick in relationship to the boat. So let's say that the boat is right. I like the size of the boat, but you got the tree about, I don't know, 20% the width of the boat from front to back, where it should be more like about 10 or something like that. But you'll see that it's like a little bit too thick. So when you squint down, do a lot of squinting when you look at these references, and when you're out in nature, painting from nature too. If you guys don't know how to squint, you close your eyes like kind of halfway, until that way you'll be able to simplify your darks and your lights and your masses, and you'll be able to get that shadow color and your value of your side of the boat and the water and of the tree. The tree is darker too. Also, we have a tendency, I did this a lot when I first started painting trees brown. When you go out in nature and when you look even at the photographs, study the colors of trees. I mean, they're not brown. They're beautiful. They're pinks and they're greens and they're reds, and you want to check into that. Let's see. So you go from watercolor, you go from light to dark. So you could do, so you probably haven't, you got more to do on this, but you can build up your darks on your shoreline more too. you know, underneath the clump of your tree branches. So, but I would say one of the things, you know, every painting, guys, when we paint, keep in mind, nobody paints a masterpiece every painting. I don't care how good you are. You know, I have shelves full of paintings I wouldn't even show anybody, you know. You know, and the best artists in the world, you know, have those kind of paintings. The important thing is that we can take one thing away from each painting we do. You know, hopefully we can take one painting away. For you, Howard, I would say the thing to take away in this painting is the drawing of the bolts and the perspective and the relationship with the tree. So, you know, I would go and I would take the reference and I would just draw those bolts, you know, again, you know, and don't even maybe just do it in pencil, you know, and get the perspective right. I think it'll go a long way in your journey. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. There's another little one. Here, see that tree's kind of wide. Okay. Oh, I was looking. Okay. Back to the bolts. Okay. Another bolt painting. Okay, Shannon. Well, beautiful use of color. Nice paint application. The thing I love about this painting, my favorite thing about this painting is that clump of all those leaves on the tree and the way it comes across. The leaves come across that tree. Just really, really good. Good application of paint, energetic. And good job. I get some distance of. I'm looking closer. That I can walk back into the background through the reeds, so that's all good. But it's got a really nice, it's a nice feel. Something that I think could improve on this painting is, now it depends. I'm looking at the photograph, okay? Again, if someone's gonna look at this painting, if you've got a customer or you're giving it away or selling it, they're gonna know that's a bolt and they're gonna just love the painting. So I'm just gonna look at it from perspective of the reference photo. I would look at the dimensions of the bolt. It looks like it's like maybe 3/4 of the size it should be. And second of all, it's going uphill. I think if you look at the angle of, like, say, the top of the bolt, the edge of the bolt, you've got it at about, if we use the clock, 9:20, where it's basically at 3:15. It's almost straight across. So that would be flat in the bolt. Now, again, it looks like the boat's dragged up on shore. It looks great. If you want to leave it that way, that's fine. And I would leave it that way for now. But in the future, unless you did it, you know, it was intentional, think about, you know, it looks like it's going uphill, or it's up on a shoreline, which is fine too, but I'm just looking at it from the photograph. I think that we could make the inside of the boat have a little bit more, like I could climb in and sit inside the boat. And so make that a little bit, look at the values in the photograph. It's a little darker as it goes down towards the floor of the boat. And it has a little darker line at the top outer rim of the boat. I hope I'm explaining this right. Again, you have that very strong light on the dark side of the boat, which can be very tricky because we love color. So you have that almost as light as the branches on the trees, the leaves on the tree, which can't be because those branches are catching the light. So to give the optical illusion that it's three-dimensional, I mean, sitting in the water, I think we could tone that down a little bit and maybe define the shadow, define that reflection a little better. The reflection in the back of the boat is pretty good, guys. Look at how the right side comes down, the right end of the boat, the back end of the boat comes down at an angle, and then the reflection comes out at an angle. So pay attention to those angles. Now the angle's wrong on the left rear side. The angle's going down at the same angle as the other side. If you look at the photograph, it's going the other way. So really pay attention to that. And, you know, I'm being picky here. I would say maybe try to get that water, you just, I mean, the values and the tone and the chroma of the wood, of the branches and the sand and the boat is, I think, pretty good. I'd like to see the water is looking a little brown. So I'd like to see, don't forget that water is getting a lot of ambient light, a lot of blue sky and reflections bouncing all around. Same thing on the tree. It's going to have some reflections. You know, it's getting ambient light coming in from bouncing all over the place. So you're going to have some, if you look at the photograph, there's a lot of green on that tree. So, yeah, otherwise, good job. Sit on that one. Okay, Cynthia. Yes. Yeah, this is sweet little painting.
Hello, Errol.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I like this painting. Let me get back to the, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I particularly like the right side, like that whole right light area, the path, the trellises, the way you handle the flowers. I just think that's really, really nice. I like the looseness, nice temperature shifts, nice use of various screens, like the sky. I mean, all looking good. When we get over to the left side, I feel, let me think about this for a minute. Let me think. Let's see. Okay. So if I didn't have the photograph, I wouldn't know better. But, oh, it looks like where the door is, it looks like another tree. And I think that's the door, I think. Unless it's a tree you want on the other side of the path. I think it's the door. Let me open up the photograph. It's a door. I think I'd like that to find more. Well, maybe, did you want that as a tree?
Well, I wasn't quite sure, to be honest, but I don't know if it was my eyes or what. I really wasn't quite sure what was going on back there.
Yeah, you got to blow it up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? I mean, so go ahead.
so I
So
just made it dark bushes in front of that,
Okay,
whatever
all right.
that
So,
structure
and that's
was.
fine.
Yeah.
It could just be a tree back there. So,
Yeah.
okay, so that's good. Okay. Oh, okay. I know what I want to do. On the left-hand side, okay, you got the path going down the front, and you got those great flowers on the left. I'd like to see a little bit more of a little more light. I'm being real picky here, and a little more like put some of those purple flowers in. I'm looking at the reference, like halfway up the left side of the painting. So it's kind of like
Okay.
give you more like a foreground, you know. Then it'll break
Okay.
up that space on the left. It'll break up that mass of dark, and then maybe break up like you got that light bush that you got the house. Then you got those dark bushes. Then you got that real bright light there, and you got that
Right.
hard edge on that light bright too. That's organic. That's one of the hardest edges in the painting. It's really drawing me to that space for two reasons. It's light and it's hard. Okay, so I would say like tone that down a little bit, the light, and maybe draw some of those edges, those dark edges up into the light. And then as you go, okay, you're in the house, you're looking out the windows, you got some bushes that come between the windows. I would break up some of that space of the house even, like a little bit, like make it a little more irregular there, but maybe some lighter areas showing some sunlight, like you have the sun on the trellises. Bring in another value. You have two values there. I would even bring in a third value. And then, okay, then I see something that definitely could help. Go to the roof of the house and go along to the left, and then you got like the tree line behind it. Well, it's a tangent with the roof of the house. So what I would do is drop those trees, those darks of those trees, you know, a little bit down into there and create a
Mhm.
shape so it's not like straight into the roof of the house.
Sure.
And then maybe even drop like the trees on the left a little bit. And this is like one of my pet peeves. It's my thing that I learned it from Scott. It's more about the edges of the painting. So go up to the upper left-hand corner of the painting and then drop down a little bit. You got that tree line there. Well, that tree line is kind of like coming down to the left, dropping down. I would take those end trees and bring it up so it goes into the painting, you know, not out to the painting.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I always try to like bring the eye into the painting, you know, so there's no escape. And then also, and you did it a little bit, don't be afraid to like use some reds in your greens. I think you can even put a little bit like in the big tree, a little bit on the top of the tree. You kind of got that like, kind of like just smudge, you know, like in the center where it's supposed to be light. I make that more of a definite like, I'd make it more like warmer. I'd make it warmer, you know, and put just a little bit of work into that, you know. But other than that, great job. I like the
Thank
sky
you.
holes too. Great job
I'm
on the sky.
afraid that there was warmth in that color, but I'm afraid that was a reflection of my camera, so it
Oh, okay.
came out.
Yeah,
It came out
appreciate that.
looking like a
Appreciate that.
smudge.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you, Errol.
Great job. Yep, very nice. Okay. All right, now we're in Priscilla's. All right, so Priscilla, let me see. All right. All right, so Priscilla honed in, if you're looking at the photo reference, she went way in, and so I think it was very successful. Nice job on the reflections. I like how she floated the lily pads, especially if you go to the bottom right-hand corner and you go up towards on a diagonal, the next one up, that glob of pink paint up there. That's great. You know, that impasto as an oil painter, you know, that'll go on last, but you know, you start working some of that impasto up and it just like sings. That's what oil painting's about in my mind. I mean, one of the great things about oil paint. Okay, I mean, let me see. Pretty good. You know, when you guys are working in oil paint, don't be afraid to take like a paper towel and rip it in, you know, take a paper towel, tear it in half. I mean, fold it like into a, just take a paper towel and just like pull it apart. So you're going to have these soft, ragged edges, and then drag those ragged edges across like some of the reflections, like bottom left corner of the painting. If you go up just like an inch, you'll see some of those reflections are like hard. So if you take like a paper towel, use it as a tool to like, just kind of like lightly drag. I go back to Scott. When Scott was teaching me in the palette, he would come over to my painting and he would critique me. And, you know, I had a painting going and it looked like, you know, a piece of junk. And he'd come over with his paper towel and, oh my God. I mean, he did a few swipes there, and it's just like, oh. And that's all about edge work, you know. So soften those edges on some of those verticals. And then maybe I would, and this is just a personal thing, I'd like to see the verticals of that bridge a little thinner. That's all. Just a little bit thinner. All of them, all the railings, you know, just slightly thinner. And you can really, you pop the light on that light part. So you can have a couple of railings in shadow, what you do, but then really the ones that are in sunlight, put that impasto on them. Just like pop the heck out of it. And take your palette knife and just drag it along the edge of the top, that top railing, you know, and put a nice sharp edge on it, you know. and your eye is just going to go right there. Really nice job on the trees and the back right. Really good job there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's it. Good. Yeah, very nice. Good job.
Thank you,
Keep up
Errol.
the good work. Okay, so Yelena. Yes. So love this painting. I mean, this is a lot of fun. And Yelena, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I know a Yelena painting. You have a style, and don't lose that style. That's your signature. That's your soul. That's your handwriting.
Thank you.
That's you know. I mean, if you want to change, that's fine. But you don't have to be. You know, that's well. I don't want to get. I don't want to get my. You know, sometimes some schools you go to, the paintings coming out of those schools all look the same. You know, and a lot of times I've read over the years that art schools. Those of you who've gone to art school, I never went to an art school. They can sometimes destroy the artist. I mean, I think art school is important, don't get me wrong, but you also want to be, you know, true to yourself, you know, and you know, I think I've seen several of Yelena's paintings, and she has a lot of energy. They have an abstract quality to them. In her paint application. So, you know, I'm going to talk about this painting from perspective of your style, you know, and which is your style. And nobody else's. Oh my God. You know, and I say that only with the most love, believe me. Let me think.
What is not good here?
Yeah, so you know, I mean, it's fine the way it is. I mean, it's great. My eye's going right through the bolts. It's a sunny day. It's a fun painting. If you want to do something, maybe possibly the leaves coming across the tree, maybe you can take a knife and put a couple little more leaves coming across, you know, you've got it kind of, but maybe just a few little small, strong ones. And maybe a little bit, maybe darker value, just slightly in the upper left-hand corner. There's some darker areas back there. And then maybe a little on the bottom too, where you got the tip of the boat, the big boat, then you got the shoreline, and then you got some ground level, and then you got some green back there, some like little darker green. There's like another level of plane back there that would kind of flatten that out. Because right now it almost looks like it looks like an island, like just like, you know, the shape of Florida, you know, whereas you could extend that island, put more land on it, so to speak, by going in the background there and putting a little extra dark, but leaving that light above, you know. So I'm looking at the tip of the boat, and then you got the back of the shore there, and then that light area, make that a little darker, maybe another inch up, but then leave that light above it, and that'll look like light coming down through the forest, and maybe a little light above it too, you know. And then the other thing is, now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about it, on the right-hand side, all the way on the right, talking about corners again, you've got that really light over there. I don't want to look over there. I want to stay on the left. So I would like tone that down quite a bit, you know, and make it, you know, maybe work in that area a little bit, toning it down a little bit. And yep, that's it. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Lori. All right. Love this painting, Lori. Just beautiful. Just great greens. I mean, These greens are, they're something. I think he just really handled them really nicely. Let me get to the photograph here. I like the way you cropped it. I got a good sense. I like the person on there, just like a little indication of the person. I like the bridge. I think you could put another, you don't have to, but another railing on there wouldn't hurt, I think.
Or like make it go longer or make it?
No. Keep it the same length, but there's another.
Yeah,
You
there's
got
another.
the top rail. There's another layer, another horizontal.
Yeah.
Just one. Beautiful job on the right side. This is really a sweet painting. The sky color coming through. Let me see. I mean, I think you pretty much hit this one really good. If anything, like I was talking, I forgot who I was talking about the water, the lilies. Possibly, well, I don't know. I think maybe there's a few more lily pads going back, a few lighter ones in the water.
Going back toward the bridge?
In the back, maybe just a couple, like if you come down from the bridge. I mean, this is just, it's your call. If you come down from the bridge about an inch, straight down and a little bit to the left, like maybe like a line of light lily pads there, maybe, possibly. But it's not necessary. I mean, I really don't think you need to do anything. Let me think.
Do you think that I was worried about the color I had the lily pads? Is it?
No, I love the color. I think maybe one little thing, just one. Well, one little on the left side of the bushes that are along the shore there. You got that bright green. I think that maybe a little bit more toned down there, like don't have that bright spot. So the brightest spot is more towards by the bridge. If I put my finger over that bright green up there, I think it maybe just toned down just slightly. And you got that hard edge on the left. It almost looks like a square. Maybe break it up with some softer edges. Maybe that's it. A little, and bring, you see what that hard edge there?
The clump on the left, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you go to that, go along the bridge, go all the way to the left side of the shore by the bridge, and there's that bright green about an inch in, and it's a clump, and it's got a hard edge on it, like straight almost. Yeah. If you break that up a little bit and maybe bring some of that brighter green down a little bit towards the shore, and it'll connect it a little better. Just, it's very minor, super minor. This is something you might want to think about. You could possibly put a little lighter area on the bridge, like what's in the sunlight, if you want, where to find the ones that are in the sun and the ones that are not in the sun.
I tried and it was too wet and it was kept losing the white.
You can do it now. You can do it later. There you go. It won't take much. Just a little knife, one little touch. That's all you need. Good job. Nice little painting.
Thanks
Just
very
beautiful. Much. Yep. That's my painting. So let me tell you about this painting. I had a nightmare with this painting. So what I decided to do was put Monet in the painting, and I'm not sure if it worked or not. What I did was, but you guys might find this interesting. In Photoshop, I took a photo of Monet, an actual photograph of him, and I layered it into the painting. And I painted him 4 or 5 times, wiped them out. And now that I look at this, I'm going to critique my own work here and be critical of myself. This would have been a stronger painting without Monet in there. And I'll probably go back and take them out more than likely. But that being said, you live and learn. I was trying to get a likeness of him with a head that was like the size of like half my fingernail. And it was a bear. But you can see the reflection on the boat, on the dark side of the boat, is darker than the reflection on the back, than the back of the boat. And the reflections are darker going towards the water for those who are painting the scene. And the reflection at the front of the boat where it meets the water comes out, kind of like with a definite shape. Now, I can be critical myself and say that reflection on the back of the boat going into the water, I can have that at a little more of an angle. Now, what I'm happy about, I'm not happy about the person. I mean, I don't think he needs to be there. I had a problem with the tree, that the tree came right into the boat on the reference photo. So what I did was, and you guys, as artists probably do this also, is I try to put a little bit of the base of the tree in front of the boat. You can barely see it, but it's there. So it's an overlapping form. So the success of this painting, what I like about the painting is I like the clump of trees that I did. I think that came out pretty good. They're abstract. I like the way they come across the trunk. And I try to incorporate some of the reflections that were in the bouncing around in the scene. So if you look at the tree, there's a lot of different things going on in that tree. There's a strong, rim light on it on the right side. As you get down, it's bouncing some of the blue of the boat on it. I made a choice not to put the little bamboo sticks on the shoreline. I just took the shore and brought the shore into the water. There's a few things, that are going right with this painting. There's things that are, that are not right. I don't know. I may paint that guy again. Maybe I've got him too. It actually looks better in person, I'll have to say. But I probably, I don't know what I did. I paint enough figures. I should do a better job than that. But just the indication of where the bamboo is, and trying to get, like, I was talking to someone about the ground plane, that there is a ground plane behind the tree going back, and that there is some light, back in the distance. So you feel like, you're going back. But the whole painting is really about the bolts in the tree and that strong geometric shape. Really, if someone looks at this painting, other than Monet, if you cover Monet out, put your hand right over him in my picture, I think it's a much stronger painting. I didn't need him there. And, but sometimes, you don't know until you know, so it never hurts to try. But that being said, it's not a bad idea combining references to make your own reference. So when you're painting a cityscape, for instance, if you want to take something from a figure or something from one picture and put it in another picture, it's something you can do. That's all I got to say, guys. I think that's the last one, right, Mary?
I think you have one more.
Oh, okay.
Two
You have
more.
one more.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, where am I going? Oh, okay. It would have taken so long on mine. I thought I was wrapping it up. All right. Yeah, beautiful. So, Linda, really nice tonal study.
Thank you.
And is this oil paint?
Yes.
So you do a lot of wipeout, you tone the board, then you wipe it out?
I didn't even tone the board. I just used it really in a thin way.
Yeah, right. Thin, right, exactly. So, yeah, this, yeah, it's like a wash almost, but you were able to get like, a sense of, I really like the airiness of it. I like the feeling, the reflections in the water, the bridge. I mean, everything to me is looking, really good. I see you didn't really you made a choice not to put the lily pads in, or totally, it doesn't look like, so there's some artistic choices. So let me ask you a question, Linda.
Sure.
The light part on the upper left, is that the willow tree?
It's abstracted from the willow tree, right?
Okay,
I was
so,
drawn to the design of the dark.
all right, so you're just going for the design. Yeah. Okay. So and which works, I mean, this is, this has a beautiful abstract quality of it. I mean, if I didn't look at the reference, and maybe it wasn't your intention, that it was to be a willow tree, I would know it's a tree, obviously.
Right.
It looks like sky to me,
Right.
going back, but that's, I guess, the beauty of it. You can make it whatever you want to make it. But what you did define is, I can tell what it is, and so I think the values are good, you got the darks where they belong, you got the lights where they belong, and then and I like the idea of that, just that kind of like shape coming across the whole, if I squint my eyes, I don't even know. I mean, it could be an abstract painting, you could actually get rid of the bridge, get rid of the person, and just have this as a huge abstract piece, and it would be very strong. So, you've probably all heard it said that design is at the basis of all good artwork, and this is certainly a good design. So, good job, nice.
Thank you. I was wondering if I should take the guy and the bridge out because they don't seem to really fit.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I was also going to say that if we were going to think about this from the perspective of, it's up to you. That's really just a call. Again, someone will look at this painting and they're just going to love it. They're going to buy it, they're going to frame it and hang it on their wall, and you should be proud of it. So you don't have to do a darn thing to it, but you're the artist, or you can paint it again too,
Well,
up to you.
Thanks
Keep
so
us
much.
keep us posted. Let us know. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
You ever do a wipeout method?
Have I?
Yeah.
No, what do you mean by wipeout?
You guys know what a wipeout method is?
No.
If you guys haven't tried a wipeout, this is a great way to paint. So you could take the whole board. I don't know, is this oil paint?
This one isn't mine.
Oh, wait up. I wanted Linda. Is Linda there?
Yes, no, this one isn't mine.
Oh, I'm looking. Oh, wait, I'm not looking at. Wait, hang on. Let's go back to Linda's for a minute.
Okay.
I've been talking about the wrong person. The whole time I'm looking at Linda's painting.
I changed it. I'm sorry. I thought we had moved on. Sorry.
That's all right. Back to Linda. Linda, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Linda, I was going to tell you about the wipeout method if you don't know what it is.
I'd love to know.
You do know?
No, I'd love to hear.
Okay, what color did you use? I'm looking at 3 computers. What color did you use for the paint? What colors? Is that burnt umber, burnt sienna?
Some burnt sienna and a little ultramarine blue.
Yeah, which is perfect. So you covered the whole painting. You mix up a mixture of, that's perfect, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, but you can do it with any basically transparent color. Don't use CADs. You could use transparent red oxide and ultramarine blue. You could use Viridian and transparent red oxide. You could use, don't use CADs, don't use yellow ochre. You make sure they're transparent. Okay, so you mix up a middle value, 50% value, and you take it and you cover your whole surface with it, your board, okay? And then you don't make it too soupy, make it sort of like, put it on there and then maybe wipe it off with a rag or something a little bit. So it can't be soupy and it can't be too thick, just kind of like you can almost see the texture of the canvas through it a little bit. So you got a middle value. Then you start wiping out your lights and putting in, and then mix a darker value up of your mixture. So you'll mix up a dark value. So you'll wipe out your lights and you'll paint in your darks. And you'll do the whole painting that way. And it's called the wipeout method. You can do it with figures or portraits or landscapes. You can do it in plein air if you want. And it's a lot of fun, and you get something, you don't do any drawing. It's all with shapes and masses. And you take to wipe it out, you take a paper towel and you put your, put it over your finger and kind of make a brush out of it, kind of like wipe it out with your finger with the paper towel. Or you could use a brush too and dip the brush in a little turp, and mineral spirits and wipe it out that way, but don't get it too soupy. So anyways, that's it. Maybe you guys want to try that. Okay, so now I'm on to the next one.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that was Linda. Okay, here we are. Andrea.
Hi, Errol.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, now I'm back at page. Okay, nice painting. Yeah. Okay, I posted. Okay. So, love the abstract quality of this. Love the strong impasto. Love the color. Love the destruction. Love the edge work. It's a fun painting. Yeah, this is really a cool painting. I like the light. I like the lily pads. I like a lot of things about this painting. Okay, what can we do to make this painting better? Okay, I don't think it needs much personally, but one of the things I would do and pay attention to is the bridge, and actually the people too. I think the people, I'm not sure if you need the people. I think this might be like my painting. I think the bridge is too big and too thick. And I think if you just, very easy to fix, I would just take that dark and cut into the lightness of those bridge structures and make them nice and curved. Now they're kind of curved and they're falling off to the right. Look at the arc in the photograph. It's more like there's an arc there, but it's more level. It's not quite so extreme. It's kind of like you've got like a curve going around the sun or something, where it's more like a curve going around I don't know, can't think of what I want, but anyways, it's not so extreme. So make it a little, cut into them, make them thinner, and maybe you got that light on the bottom one. That's fine. It's the top one I'm talking about. So make the top one thinner and then put an extra one in there too, and make the verticals a little thinner. And then if you want to keep the people there, I would just knock them back a little bit. I think they look a little bit too, I don't know. Maybe just cut into them a little. Like
Tone them down.
The guy's head looked really big to me. And maybe it's because the light's behind it. Maybe just simplify him a little bit. Cut the head down. Like the head should be about half the size as you got it. If you cut that head down, and maybe you've got the head cut down, but there's a light behind it, like a dot of light that makes his head look big.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so cut the head down. Is there a person next to him? I can't tell.
Yeah, it was implied
Yeah,
based
and
on
you can
the
do it. I
original
guess you can do it as long as you cut them down a
photo.
little bit. And you know what's going to help you when you get that bridge railing the right width? You know what I'm talking about, right? On that
Yes,
bridge.
yes.
Okay, once you get that down, but I mean, all that work that you did there with that energy and that work, I mean, yeah, it's really nice work. You guys have all done a whole bunch of nice work, everybody. I mean, really, it's really looking good. Everybody's working hard. Good job. I love it. Okay.
Thanks,
Is that
Errol.
it, Mary?
I think that is it.
Oh, no, Mary, don't say it's over.
Nice job, Errol.
Oh, man, it was a lot of fun, guys. Great
Thanks,
game.
Errol.
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco right now.
Thank you, Errol.
It's an earthquake. No.
You guys, please try to get your paintings in on Monday nights. It's hard, you can tell it's hard for Errol to look at them if he hasn't had time to look at them. So for next time, please get them in by
Now we
Monday.
got Nancy's coming up next with a couple.
Next month, right? And next week, so please have them in by Monday night.
Yeah.
Monday night, what time? Is it better to get them in? Because
11 by 11:59 Monday night. So, and then,
just hit midnight.
Otherwise, you turn into a pumpkin.
That's right. So the best artist then has the whole day, the next day to look at them.
Thank you very much, Errol.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Errol.
Thank you.
Keep on paying, you guys.
Did a great
All
job.
right. Stay safe.